Hi guys, this is Karen here and welcome to my channel. Today I am sharing with you my first project with a ScrapFX design team. So I'm really excited to be part of their team. So I've picked out a couple of things that I wanted to use on my page today. And as you can see, there's a bit of rice paper there that's designed by Tanya, so I'm going to be using that. What I've done first of all to my page is that I've added some watercolour ground to the paper. This is because I'm going to be using my Jane Davenport watercolours, and the paper in the journal is not watercolour paper, so that's why I've just added in the ground to help the colours to be able to move around on the page easier. So I'm using the what are they? Layer cake paints from Jane. They are watercolours, but not. They're really interesting. They're really cool to play with, and they're so bright, which is what I really like. So I'm just adding in the pinks and blues and getting some purples mushed up in between, which looks really cool. And because I've had far too much water there on my page, I'm just mopping it up with a bit of paper towel so I can get it dry. So what I've got here is a art by Marlene stencil and some yellow paint. My yellow paint is from Paper Artsy, and the stencil that I have here is from ScrapFX. It's a brand new one. It's a Dream quote, which is really nice. Unfortunately, it's not available at the moment due to some manufacturing issues, as in with the mylar that the stencil is made out of. Anyway, that will get fixed and it will be available soon. So now I'm just cutting out around the rice paper, so I haven't got all that excess white paper around the edges. So I'm just going to trim them off, and then I'm going to glue my image down with some Liquitex gel medium. And I'm working from the inside of the rice paper out, and I'm doing that so that I can push all the air bubbles and creases and things out, and it helps make sure that the rice paper is securely glued to your page. So I'm also lifting up some of the areas where, I didn't quite have enough glue underneath, so because I don't want it to lift up. Now what I'm doing is just blending in the very edges of the rice paper into the background with a little bit more of the layer cake paints here from Jane. So where the pink is, adding some more pink, where the blue is, adding some more blue. And now I've got my Neocolour IIs, and I'm just going to scribble in some of the colour over the image, just wet it with a paintbrush here. So yeah, it's just another form of watercolour really. So yeah, it's starting to look quite cool. I am going to lose some of my black lines in the rice paper, but where I've added in the colour over the top, but I do fix that a little bit later on. So just continuing to add some more colour around on my unicorn, putting some into the flowers, and onto the mane. And this is where the majority of the lines get lost, as you can see. The neon 2s are actually a little bit translucent. It was just that, that blue didn't quite tie in, like it blended in too much is what I'm trying to say. So I've added in a little bit of a darker one over the top, and as it dries you can see. Okay, so now I'm just continuing to add on some extra colour here, just pushing some of the colours around and making some of them a bit brighter and a bit darker. So it's starting to look quite pretty. Well, I think so anyway. So I'm just going to get that nice and dry before I start adding into my next bit, which is these watercolours here that I have from China. The super shimmery is what I'm trying to say, and they just add a really nice sparkle onto the unicorn as we're going in there. So I'm adding in some blues, some pinks, purple, a little bit of gold, and some orange as well. So yeah, so it's looking quite pretty. Well, I think so anyway. I hope you do too. So, and some green onto those little leaves there. So just blending some of those colours out and around. So now I have the quote here, which is roll me in fairy dust and call me a unicorn. So I'm just going to glue that down as well with the same gel medium, which is the Liquitex one. And just moving a couple of the letters around to get them in the right spot. So that's looking a little bit better. And the last thing that I'm going to add is, well, not the last thing, but I have some flowery bits here from Michelle, so I'm going to cut those out. I'm going to pop them on as well. Now, I am actually going to put them up here where you can see the stems, so at the top of the unicorn and at the bottom, so because it kind of ties in there with the stem already in place, so that just adds a little bit extra to my unicorn. I'm just going around with a bit of black pen to pop those words out, and also to draw around the unicorn's head because it kind of did get a little bit lost. So I'm just going to add that little bit in there. So that looks pretty cool. And on the mane, because I've lost some of those black lines, I'm going to add some white over the top with just some scribbly writing, and then that kind of makes that pop. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Now this is the very last thing that I use, which is some Sminke gouache powder. So I've just wet my page and I'm just sprinkling a little bit of powder over the top, and when it dries it's so pretty. So here we are. Here's some of the close-ups of my page. I really hope you have enjoyed my very first Scrap Perfect's design team project. I hope I have inspired you to get crafting, and till next time, I'll see you later. Bye.